Good morning, students. Development.
Diencephalon. In the development of diencephalon, we start with the introduction. Now, in the introduction, our first diagram will be, this will be the two telencephalic vesicles which we are drawing, and in the median plane, this will be lamina terminalis. So therefore, these two telencephalic vesicles, after drawing these two, then we show that there will be development of diencephalon. This will be the thickened part of diencephalon, thick walls, and then it will continue below as the cerebral aqueduct, and then below it will continue with the fourth ventricle. Now here we will write this portion as diencephalon wall. In between, this is the cavity of third ventricle, and these two are lateral ventricle cavities. Similarly, now if we consider this as the wall, here this will be the wall and it continues down. Even here we will consider this as the wall and then it will continue down. Therefore, now the communication between lateral ventricle towards the third ventricle, these two segments, they will be known as interventricular foramen. The interventricular foramen. This is the basic introduction for the development of diencephalon. So that means these two telencephalic vesicles are developing. So therefore, these are telencephalic vesicles. They are developing. We know that prosencephalon, initially the entire prosencephalon will develop into two segments, median diencephalon and laterally the two lateral projections as telencephalic vesicles. Therefore, these two telencephalic vesicles will have the cavity, primitive cavity, neural cavity as lateral ventricles, which will communicate medially in the median plane as third ventricle through interventricular foramen. This is the initial stage of development, remember. Now these two telencephalic vesicles, they are joined in the median plane by this portion which will be known as lamina terminalis. So the proper definition of lamina terminalis will be, it will form the closure of anterior neuropore. So anterior neuropore will close as lamina terminalis, and therefore this lamina terminalis will form the anterior wall of the entire neural tube. Therefore, remember that this lamina terminalis will form the median part of the two telencephalic vesicles, two cerebral vesicles, two cerebral hemispheres, and the diencephalon will develop as the median part of prosencephalon. So therefore, as initially there were three vesicles, prosencephalon, mesencephalon, rhombencephalon, we have seen the development of rhombencephalon, we have seen the development of mesencephalon. Now it is time for development of prosencephalon. In prosencephalon, we have taken diencephalon. This is our main topic. So therefore, diencephalon is the median portion of prosencephalon. This is the initial diagram during the stages of development of the three vesicles. And therefore, we need to mention the two telencephalic vesicles before we start with the development of the diencephalon. Lamina terminalis is an important component because it is where the anterior neuropore will close, closure of anterior neuropore, and also it will form the anterior wall of the cranial end of the neural tube, and also it will form the median part of the two cerebral hemispheres. Now, there is another point, interventricular foramen. Gradually this space will reduce as we see further when the diencephalon develops and the telencephalon will also develop. We will see that this interventricular foramen, this space will narrow down as it gradually increases in size, the cerebral hemispheres. Therefore, the portion of the cerebral hemisphere which lies cranial to interventricular foramen will develop into telencephalic vesicles, and the portion of the prosencephalon which lies caudal to this interventricular foramen will develop into diencephalon. Please note down this statement. therefore, caudal portion of interventricular foramen, that much portion of prosencephalon, we take it as diencephalon. And mainly diencephalon consists of what? The two thickened lateral walls. It is divided into two parts by central median third ventricle. The median cavity, third ventricle, which will divide the diencephalon into equally two parts. So therefore, now here there will be two lateral projections which we need to show, and these two lateral projections will be, we have to show it as the optic cup. So therefore, these two lateral projections will be known as optic cup. We have seen this during the development of the eye. So later on, this proximal portion, which is called optic stalk, will develop into optic nerve, and the distal portion, which is optic cup, will develop into optic vesicle, and later on it will develop into the entire eyeball and its layers. So these two lateral projections of these two are now in the early part they are called optic bulb. So the projections laterally of optic bulbs will be from diencephalon. Lower part of diencephalon, on lateral side they will have the projections of optic bulb. Here we finished our introduction of diencephalon. Now second point. In the second point we start with the, always remember the diencephalon means there will be two thickened lateral walls on the right and the left side. So therefore we start with the lateral walls. They are very important structure in diencephalon. In the gross neuroanatomy also, we usually discuss the lateral walls of the diencephalon. Then, after finishing lateral walls, we will take here the roof plate. The roof plate. What are the structures in the roof? And then afterwards, we will take here, after roof plate, we will take the floor plate. This is the sequence how the development takes place, and usually this is the sequence how we discuss the gross neuroanatomy of the diencephalon. So after finishing introduction we take the lateral wall. Now in the lateral wall what we'll do is we will just rub this diagram so that we should have enough space. In the lateral wall we are going to draw the sagittal section of the brain, that is brain stem. And in that sagittal section, we are not going to draw the entire brainstem. We are going to draw the starting phase, only the starting phase, how the development takes place. You draw alongside with me, so it will be very easy. We do not complicate, we just make it very simple. So therefore, in the roof plate, there will be 3 points which we have to cover. These 3 points in the lateral wall, not roof plate, but lateral wall, the 3 points which we are going to cover in the lateral wall will be, first point, there will be development of hypothalamic sulcus. Second point, there will be development of the connexus, C-O-N-N-E-X-U-S, connexus interthalamicus. Connexus interthalamicus. And the last point in the development of the lateral wall will be the extraneural cleft. All these three are basically very simple. Only by line diagrams we should be able to understand. Basically very simplified diagrams. Hypothalamic sulcus. So therefore here we will start. In the hypothalamic sulcus, the first point will be the entire lateral wall of diencephalon will develop in such a way that there will be first development of hypothalamic sulcus. Second important point, this hypothalamic sulcus will extend from interventricular foramen anteriorly to cerebral aqueduct posteriorly. So therefore, at this level, I will make here interventricular foramen. Then I will show here hypothalamic sulcus. This is how I will show the hypothalamic sulcus. Please draw alongside with me, very simple. Here, I will give this name as interventricular foramen. Remember this interventricular foramen, communication between the cavities of lateral ventricles with the third ventricle. Now, it is extending till cerebral aqueduct. So here, we have to show that there will be the communication of cerebral aqueduct. this is what we have to show, that this channel will be the cerebral aqueduct. So here I will name this as cerebral aqueduct. So therefore it is extending from anteriorly interventricular foramen to cerebral aqueduct. Third important point of this hypothalamic sulcus, it is a rostral continuation of sulcus limitans. Sometimes it is asked in 1 mark question answer, what is basically hypothalamic sulcus? Now here, this I will mention it as hypothalamic sulcus. So hypothalamic sulcus is rostral continuation, cranial continuation, cephalic continuation of sulcus limitans. The sulcus limitans which divides the entire neural tube into ventral basal lamina and dorsal alar lamina. So it is just that continuation, hypothalamic sulcus. Very clear? Extending from interventricular foramen to cerebral aqueduct. Now this hypothalamic sulcus will divide the entire lateral wall. Remember, we are focusing on lateral wall. It will divide the entire lateral wall into dorsal and ventral part. So this area will be known as dorsal area and this area will be known as ventral area. I am writing it in a very light color. So dorsal area, ventral area. Therefore, this hypothalamic sulcus will divide the entire area into dorsal, ventral, and the dorsal area anteriorly. The anterior part of dorsal area will develop into thalamus, a huge structure that will develop into thalamus. So I will draw here, this structure will be the thalamus. So here, this is the structure of thalamus. So therefore, I will write here thalamus. So therefore, lateral wall anteriorly it will develop into thalamus. Which region? Dorsal area. Where is dorsal area? Above hypothalamic sulcus. And what is hypothalamic sulcus? Rostral continuation of sulcus limitans. Very simple. So therefore, in the dorsal area anteriorly it will develop into thalamus. Now posteriorly. Posteriorly in the dorsal area there will be development of very important structure. Two masses. Initially there will be out pockets of two masses. Remember, this is we are discussing on one side. We are discussing on either left side or right side. So this is of left side which we are discussing, one side only. So there will be two out pockets. These two out pockets are known as medial and lateral geniculate bodies. Now, after some time, these out pockets will dissociate. They will detach from the diencephalon. As they detach from the cavity of diencephalon, what is the cavity of diencephalon? Third ventricle. As they detach from the cavity of diencephalon, they will develop into two small oval masses. And these two small oval masses, which we need to show, here I will show with orange color, these two small oval masses, we will show it over here, 1 and 2. And put some color inside. They are called lateral and medial geniculate bodies. And now, these two oval masses will then, after some time, they will be seen projecting just below the pulvinar end of thalamus. What is pulvinar end of thalamus? Pulvinar end of thalamus will be the posterior end of thalamus. This is the posterior end of thalamus. And in the gross neuroanatomy, we have seen that as the posterior end of thalamus will project posteriorly, it is called pulvinar. So below the pulvinar of thalamus, then these two oval bodies will be seen. And they are called lateral and medial geniculate bodies. And therefore, these two lateral and medial geniculate bodies are given a name now. What is the name given to this lateral and medial geniculate body? These two bodies are called metathalamus. So therefore, here we need to write down lateral geniculate body and this one medial geniculate body. Lateral and medial geniculate bodies we need to write down. And these two bodies we give the name here as metathalamus. This is the point which we need to write. So there will be development of metathalamus at this stage in the posterior part, dorsal part of the thalamus. So therefore, here we have developed the thalamus and metathalamus in the dorsal region. Dorsal region is above the hypothalamic sulcus. This much is very clear. Then we come across to, now here, connexus interthalamicus, second point. Now in connexus interthalamicus, what I need to show you is simply that there will be the two thalami, and these two thalami will be connected with each other through the small mass. Please come on this side. For that, a very simple diagram here. This is the simple diagram, cross section, the coronal section of the two thalami, medial surface. Obviously, these two are the lateral surface. So in the medial surface, there will be, as the thalami grows in size, they will proliferate in such a way that their medial surfaces will be joined partially with each other, right and left side, because of the growth of the thalami, right and left thalami. As they grow, their medial surfaces partially will join with each other, which is known as connexus interthalamicus. They will be known as connexus interthalamicus. Please note down and mark down. And therefore, they will obliterate partially this cavity. What is this cavity present between the two thalami? Third ventricle. So partial obliteration of third ventricle will take place because of the development of connection between the two medial surface of the thalamus, which is called connexus interthalamicus. So second point we have finished. Now third point, extraneural cleft. Extraneural cleft. Here we have to draw another diagram where we need to show the lateral surface. That is very, very interesting. Now the entire lateral surface when we show, for that I will just rub this marking here and we should have enough space for that. Now in the extraneural space, we show that initially there will be development of cerebral hemispheres and then the two thalami will develop in this way. These are the two thalami and these are the two cerebral hemispheres. So this is how the segment is there. Very rough line diagram to understand the diencephalon and telencephalon. So therefore, this is diencephalon. Here there will be the cavity of third ventricle. This is a very, very initial stage. And here these are the two telencephalic vesicles. Remember, very simple. This is lamina terminalis, the same diagram which we had drawn in the first stage. Now, this is the initial stage of development, and here lateral wall of diencephalon. Here this is the medial wall of diencephalon, where we had shown in the previous diagram as connexus interthalamicus. Very simple. Therefore, now extraneural cleft, if I put an arrow here, this is extraneural cleft. Simply by observing this diagram, you will understand that during the stages of development of telencephalic vesicles and diencephalon, the diencephalon lateral walls are separated from telencephalic vesicles by the ingrowing, and this ingrowing is called extraneural cleft. Very simple. But why this extraneural cleft is important is now, after this, subsequent stages, what changes will take place here? In the subsequent stage, the changes that will take place will be in this way. Now, the changes that take place will be, I will show you the changes that will be, here we show that there will be, in future, there will be the two thalami which are in this way. Then these two thalami will have the cavity of third ventricle here. This will have a cavity of third ventricle inside. Similarly, the lateral wall, these two are lateral wall. This lateral wall, now extraneural cleft which we have drawn. In the same extraneural cleft, there will be some fibers which are projecting from cerebral cortex. The fibers which are projecting from cerebral cortex, these are the fibers you have to show. And these fibers which are seen projecting from cerebral cortex, they are called projection fibers. Which type of projection fibers? They will be known as the, here we give the name, they will be known as the internal capsule. So they are called the internal capsule fibers. They are the projection fibers. What will they do? They will cover the entire lateral surface of the thalami, and they will isolate the thalami from laterally another triangular mass, and that triangular mass, here we show this mass, triangular mass, as this is the triangular mass, and this triangular mass will be lentiform nucleus. So therefore, this will be lentiform nucleus. It is a nucleus of basal ganglia, corpus striatum. So therefore, the development of the projection fibers internal capsule, that is internal capsule in the extraneural cleft covering the lateral wall of thalamus, will isolate the lateral wall of the thalamus. Lateral wall of thalamus is nothing but lateral wall of diencephalon. So it will isolate the lateral wall of diencephalon from triangular projection of the lentiform nucleus. This diagram comes after extraneural cleft. So therefore, this is the relation of projection fibers or internal capsule just lateral to diencephalon on the lateral wall. So here we finished the lateral wall. Now please come on this side. So therefore, the lateral wall, all the 3 points we have covered.